Hi guys, welcome back to Fiery Love 1111. I'm here and I'm going to do a quick little reading for soul connections and mostly actually on our own soul growth. So take this message as it applies. If you are any of these messages resonate with you, then this is for you, and it doesn't matter if it's divine masculine, divine feminine. This is just a huge soul community that is working on they're working on themselves, ready to ascend. And what I mean by ascend is ready to step out of those old paradigms and step into our true divinity as divine sovereign beings. So like I said, just take these messages as they resonate, and if it doesn't, then no worries. Okay. This is first of a few videos I'm going to be posting about this. So the only deck that I'm actually using for this doing is the Dark Goddess Oracle cards. And so let's just get into it, okay? So the first card that came out, and they all came out just kind of like this, and they all tell a story. I just meditated on it for a little bit, and each card has some little picture, a representation of what the energy actually means. And so, the very first one that came out that I actually got an image of in my mind last night was this Atonement. And of course, atonement means, for this reading, for this moment, for this soul group, it is justice and like judgment, karma, stepping in and saying, it's like divine timing. What is also what I'm getting, and what that means is it's time to atone for our past, atone for our past, atone for the lessons that we are needing to actually see and understand, and it's time to reconcile this, okay? So a lot of times, when we're searching and trying to grow as souls, which sometimes it is a conscious effort and sometimes it's unconscious effort, and you can take that as it resonates too. Usually if you're watching my videos, then you are consciously trying to grow, right? But if our ego keeps stepping in and kind of refusing to do the work, then sometimes divine timing has to step in, and justice has to step in and say, look, if you're not willing to do the work, then I'm here to show you. And sometimes it's just simple as us saying, asking our higher selves to show us the truth about something if we're struggling. And when that happens, don't be surprised by the answer, because we're not going to get the answers that we want. We're going to get the answers that we need, and we're always going to get the truth, okay? So this is what's happening, and what that means is, in this soul collective, which also, I am a part of, so this highly resonates with me as well, is that, our souls have been just guiding and pushing ourselves to learn these lessons and get better than we used to be better than we used to be, and on a daily basis, on a minute by minute basis, and an hourly basis, right? And so in this collective, and it does have to do with our twin flames, but it's a really good thing that's happening with our twin flames, because our twin flames are a reflection of us, right? So if there's something that we don't like about them, it's an immediate reflection on something that we don't like about ourselves. That's the main purpose of twin flames. It's to push us, to challenge us, to help us grow and ascend and see our truth for what it is, see our lessons for what they are, and see our higher selves, the best part of ourselves, for what they are, and use that energy to become better than we used to be. So atonement's coming in to say, look, you've been wanting equality, right? You've been wanting balance in this, in your life, in your connections, and you've been searching for it. You've been telling yourself, look, equality is needed, balance is needed. I want to receive as much as I'm giving, and I won't settle for anything less, right? We want that, we want that, we want that. Yet we're here pushing and pushing for something that is not for our best soul growth, right? So in order to actually see that truth, it takes endurance. It takes pushing ourselves, pushing past all those shadows, constantly seeing the darkness and working through it, acknowledging it. It's huge. You can see the darkness all day long, but if you're not willing to work through it, if you're not willing to acknowledge it, acknowledge our weaknesses, acknowledge our lessons, then we're not getting anywhere, right? So, in order to get to that equality, get to that, you have to see, in order to get to the truth, you have to work through the shadow. So it's a mountain, right? You're not going to get to this atonement without doing the work first. Okay? And so our souls, in order to see this, there's karmic debts being paid back. And even though, okay, so the mirror is showing me that, yes, we want this equality, and we think the equality has to come from the other person. Like, say, our twin flame, right? Oh, they owe us. They owe us from a past life. They owe us. So, I don't have to do the work. He has to do the work. Well, when the mirror is shown as a twin flame, it shows, no. That mirror is showing you have a karmic debt to pay. So when we see that and we realize it is on us, and the karmic debt that is being paid back is the letting go. Letting go of the whole process, letting go of any expectations, letting go and letting the divine work how it should and when it should. This is all divine timing, right? So when we do that, when we work through that, when we look at that shadow, when we see that shadow for what it is, see the truth for what it is, and acknowledge that, yes, it is on me. It's on me. It's on me to do this, not anybody else, right? Then we can be redeemed. Then the redemption comes. We're paying back that karmic debt, right? The equality does show up. We're stepping in more into our integrity, which for this, okay, so, the redemption is the truth showing up, right? The truth is showing up. That's like the light is surrounding her and showing up and saying, look, this, you asked for the truth, and now I'm showing you. It comes from you. Everything that we've ever wanted to fix, Spirit says, it usually always starts within. It hardly ever starts with somebody else. It starts within. So if there's something that we don't like that's going on outside of ourselves, we need to look inside of ourselves and find that first. As within, so without, is what this energy says, right? And stepping into that integrity of that truth, right? The owl's wisdom. And here's the truth. Here's the truth lighting her way. Stepping into our own integrity of that truth, of that, no, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm, enduring through those dark shadows to see, no, I'm not perfect. And yes, this was a lesson I needed to see. Thank you for letting me see that. I'm willing to redeem myself by letting go, stepping into that karmic debt, allowing that twin flame to do whatever they want. Letting go. Just let go. Let it go and let it flow. Stepping into that unknown, that's uncertainty, right? Allows for anything and everything to show up. The beauty of anything and everything, all the beauty, all the love that we need to show up for ourselves gives us a chance to show up when we let go. When we let go of certain expectations, of only a one-way, narrow-minded, horse with blinders on way of thinking. When we let go, we let the divine do its work, right? And that's what's happening in this collective. And then we see ourselves. Once we start doing that, once we start stepping into that divinity of letting go and letting flow, and seeing our higher selves, allowing our higher selves to run the show, not our ego, right? Allowing our higher selves to run the show, then all this beautiful alignment starts to happen. We start to see ourselves in a different light. We see ourselves as everything is so connected, right? The stones and the energy of the minerals that we're attracted to, that's not an accident. That's here to help us. In our health, the foods we eat, the drinks we consume, the exercise we get or don't get. We start to see as everything is so connected, and we start to see that we're not alone in this. We're not alone in this. The divine shows us, the universe shows us how much we're all connected. We're all connected in so many beautiful ways. It blows your mind. Even just the tiniest little minuscule hint of the connectivity in the divine, in the universe, almost blows our mind, right? Because then you step into your health, you step into your true power. See, she's reaching up for her divine higher self, and seeing that, this darker snake is the energy that where she wasn't taking care of herself. But now she's like, no, the divine feminine in us, which is in all of us, reaches up and says, I love myself. I really do love myself for who I am, and I'm going to take care of myself. That is self-worth. Even in doing these little things, taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself in the relationships that we have in our lives, right? And then when we do that, when we allow this to happen and see all these things, what happens? Loss. What is the loss? What is the loss up close? Look at this card. It's the loss of the ego, loss of the blinders we've been wearing, loss of the things that we thought we needed, right? Sometimes there's things Spirit's trying to show me, like, sometimes the things that we really want aren't what we need. But Spirit's showing us, look, this is what you need. Not these things over here that what you want, whatever that may be. But this is what you need. And when you step into that uncertainty of the, letting go and just laying down our swords and saying, all right, divine, show me what I need. What am I missing? What am I missing? And let the divine do its work. Then the loss happens, and then the old paradigms, the old ways of thinking drop away, right? They drop away, and we step into our true power, which is connecting to our higher selves. It's connecting to our higher selves and letting the universe, letting our higher selves do the work. And that, my friend, is what leads us to the last two. It leads us to the deliverance of stepping into our divine sovereignty. Do you see how all this works together so beautifully? Allowing the universe to show us our divinity. Say, here, do you want to be delivered to the truth? Because I'm here. This is our higher selves holding out their hand and saying, look, do you really want to stay? Do you want to stay in this old paradigm, old way of thinking and not feeling whole? allowing others to rule our lives, allowing others to control how we think, how we feel, instead of knowing what is best for us, right? Where we allow our higher selves to take over and take control and just let go, and see what the universe has in store. Boom, there we go. We step into our divine sovereignty. We see the truth for what it is. And the truth for what it is that we can't control anybody else. This is all about free will here. You know, it's the willingness. All this whole reading flows back into the willingness. Are you willing, Spirit asks, to atone for our past mistakes, get the equality in our soul, in our divine life, in our earthly life, equality, right? This is balancing the dark and the light, and balancing the relationships that we have in our earthly form. Equality for that. Are you giving too much? Are you receiving too much and not giving enough? Right? It's the willingness to atone for these truths. And when we want to, when we are willing to see that truth, that's when we step into our divine sovereignty. That's when we can step into our true power. And we also find our purpose. That's when the purpose of our lives shows up. Because you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to endure through the shadows. Acknowledge the shadows for what they are. Acknowledge those weaknesses, quote unquote. Acknowledge that darkness that we carry within ourselves. And acknowledge the light and bring that balance into play, into our own being, into our own souls, to our own lives. Then we can be redeemed. Then we show up with integrity because we're being true to ourselves. Right? We're being true to ourselves because the wisdom of our higher self shows up and lights the way. That's true integrity, Spirit says. True integrity is seeing our divineness, our true selves for what they are, the dark, all the darkness, all the light, and still loving ourselves for who we are. Then we step into better health for ourselves. We want it, we ask for it, and we get it and we push for that. Because as divine beings, it is a divine right. It's a divine right of ours to have true health, to have true abundance, to have true integrity, to have true love for ourselves, and the ego goes away. And then we're delivered to our divine sovereignty. Do you see how beautiful that is? But you have to be able to be willing to do the work. Be willing to do the work. But on the other side of that fear, this endurance, the other side of all the fear that we carry is everything we've ever wanted. But you won't come to you until you do the work. You can't get these answers. You can't get those answers. You can't get to here without pushing through that. Pushing through that darkness, really acknowledging it, really sitting with that darkness, really sitting with your shit, sitting it, acknowledging it for what it is. Then the equality comes in, the balance, the darkness and the light within, and we will know, and we see, all the past. We see the past for what it is. We see our mistakes for what they were. And once we have that knowing, right? Like the need to have an attachment to somebody, the need to be seen, be heard, whatever, with somebody else, once we realize that and see that, you don't go backwards, right? Because you see yourself for what you are, and you're not going to go backwards. You're not going to turn back around and go, oh, but I like that shit. I like that attachment. I like that darkness. No, once you see it, once you have that understanding, it's all moving forward. Boom. You can't, once you start to have those awakenings and those realizations, and your soul starts to grow, you're never going to go back. If you don't like something about yourself, don't do that shit again. That's how you atone for it. Instead of demeaning ourselves and listening to our ego and saying, oh, I'm just a piece of shit. Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Well, if you don't like doing something, stop doing it. That's how you atone for it. That's how you atone for that darkness. That's how you control that darkness that's within. If there's something you don't like, stop doing it. That's how we take that demon of a darkness and put it in a pen and say, you know what, you're not going to control my life anymore. Because I'm redeeming myself from this. And I'm worth more. I'm worth more. And I can see my divine sovereignty. So do the work, Spirit says. If you're willing to do the work, being willing. That's such a true, a strong statement. Willingness. Are you willing? Because it's all about free will. And no one else has power over any of us except ourselves. There's an old saying I read years ago that I just love, and I try to say it to myself every day. What other people think of me is none of my business. But what I think of me, that's what matters. And every day I can see now with my own self that I am doing the work. I promised myself before I incarnated in this life, I'm doing the work. And I'm going to be better than I used to be every day. Every day. And I just don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks of me. But I care about what I think of me. And I'm letting go of any attachments, any needs, any ego bullshit. And I'm in line with my integrity now. I'm in line with my equality, the equality of the dark and light. I'm atoning for everything, and this is how I get to that. And Spirit says you can too, but you have to be willing. So Spirit's asking, are you willing? Because if you're willing and you ask the universe for help, ask your higher self for help, then everything changes. Everything changes. Then you'll never go back. Because the beauty that you'll see within yourself is way better than the old bullshit. It's way better. So if you can do the work, then you're on the right path. If you're willing, are you willing? Are you willing to try? That's all Spirit ever asks of you. Alright guys, I really appreciate you watching this video. Pass this along if you know anybody that needs to hear this, or just watch it again, and maybe some messages will click and maybe they won't, and if they don't, it's okay. But I will see you in the next video, and take care. Bye.